This is Born 62, I'm Henrik Jørs. Today we'll look at the hook, a basic punch used in boxing, and this first video about the hook is the basic stuff. This is aimed at the beginner, how to do the basic punch. In coming videos we'll look at the application, how to use it in sparring, how to use it in fighting, different stuff you can do, but today we'll look at the basic stuff. The hook is unique to Western boxing. Actually, a lot of traditional Asian fighting arts, martial arts, doesn't favor any kind of rotational punch, but always favors attacking in straight lines down the center line. So if you look at some of the traditional karate systems, some of the traditional China systems, they actually don't like anything that comes in a circle like that. But it's a really good punch, and it's something that you must learn if you will work the punching bag for fitness or if you want to be able to be a good fighter. The basic punch, just to recapitulate what I've been talking about before, the point of impact will be the two knuckles here, and therefore the two knuckles should form a straight line up your forearm. So look at it from this view, you will see that there's a straight line here. Your hand is not like this or not like this. Look at it from here, it's not like this or this, but you have a straight line like this. The hook provides you with a 90-degree angle in the arm, so it forms a hook. And you perform it almost in the same style with your front hand or your rear hand. I'll not say left and right, it might slip, but some of you are southpaw, so talking about the front hand and the rear hand makes more sense. So when you're in your basic stance, you might be out or in of the distance from the opponent, and it's clear that when the arm is bent like this, you cannot hit him if you're far out, you have to come closer. The meaning with the hook is that the other guy has his arms up here in his basic stance, using them as parries or blocks, and you try to strike around that block by going out in a circle and hitting like this. The target will usually be the sides of the head and the sides of the body. The rim of your ribs here, the floating ribs down there, is a really good target, and just below on the right side you have the liver, and a good liver hook can send your opponent to the floor end of match. So the two basic points you'll be striking at is either the head or something in line with the liver and the floating ribs down here. Delivering hooks to the shoulders, well, unless he's a really wimp, nothing will happen, because the shoulders are usually quite strong, and if someone hits you on your shoulders, well, it hurts, but it will not keep you from fighting in any way. So it's usually a waste of time delivering hooks to the shoulders. It's something you do in school to make another boy hurt, but it's not something that you can use in a fight to win the fight. So knockouts, side of the temple, side of the jaw, at the neck, and the floating ribs on the liver, or the floating ribs. And down here you don't have the same as a liver. There's some intestines here, but not an organ like the liver. So a hook to the left side will not give you the same result as a hook to the right side. So all in all, how do you perform it? Well, working from your basic stance, you kind of dip a bit, so to wind up a little bit of force. It's very hard to fire off a hook without any pre-movement. Usually when it's the front hand we're talking about, you disguise this behind a feint with your rear hand like this, turning the body a bit, and then it comes in like this. But of course you can do it without any feint at all, but that takes a lot more practice. What you'll do is that you'll turn your foot a bit, so you turn your rear foot with the heel outwards, like this. And thereby you create that force that can deliver the hook. The hook with the rear hand is much easier because you can very easily do something to disguise that little turning of the body that gives you the right amount of force to come in with a hook. And of course the other hand should travel up here and cover your face, because if you're up against an opponent who is a good counter boxer, you can't be hit in the head if he's fast. So if you want to work on the body, instead of standing right up and then hit down here, you kind of dip a bit and deliver the hook down here. So usually the hook is something you will produce when you're closer to your opponent. Let's say you worked from out here, delivering a 1-2, and then turning here, you deliver the hook to the body, and then you pull out again. That is the way it's usually done. But it can also be done out of the blue without any wind up, just like this. And if you have practiced a lot, you can actually put quite a lot of force into and completely unmask and unwinded up hook. The left hook, or the front hook, is not as powerful as a rear hook. But on the other hand, it actually produces small knockouts because it's often delivered when the opponent don't watch or don't see it. He'll have his hands out here covering because you have delivered a straight punch, and his own hands will actually block his vision. And you sidestep a bit when you turn your foot and delivers a hook, and end of game. Is hit, and it's always that hit you don't see that ends the fight. So that is the hook basically. Some people turn their hand like this. So instead of having the back of the hand upwards and the thumb pointing downwards, it's turned like this. And when you work the heavy back, sometimes it can actually feel better, because this way if you hit the surfaces in the back, you can feel that your wrist is kind of wobbly. Always wear some kind of bands on your hand so you support your wrist. But I would say in many cases holding your hands like this is just as good as the basic way like this. But there is instances where it don't serve you well. If your opponent, while you are striking, moves away from you, and you kind of extend the hook, meaning that you open your arm more than the 19 degrees in order to still hit him. If your hand is like this, you can hit him with your fingers instead of with the knuckles. Whereas if you have your hand turned like this, it will always be the knuckle that makes the impact. Like this, and you might break your thumb, because that would be the point of the hit. Actually, if someone was hitting me with a large swing like this, and I had time to see that his fingers was coming first, I would turn my head and take the punch directly in my forehead because my forehead is much harder than his fingers. So I could actually break his hand with my forehead if I was fast enough, that is. Usually you don't have time to see this kind of stuff, but in theory that could be done. So this is the hook, and when you work the heavy back for fitness, pay attention to moving out and in all the time, creating small angles, sometimes delivering 2 hooks in a row with the same arm, going low, boom, and up, boom. The reason for this is that in a real fight, if you hit someone down here, either you hit him and he is hurt, or he will pull his arm down to block the punch, and then his head is open. So it makes good sense to go boom, boom. Same goes for the other side, boom, boom. Or you can go the other way, strike for the head first and then drop and strike for the body. Everything is workable here. You have to work with it yourself, move around. But a fault you shouldn't do is to stand in front of the bag and go. Because this is not resembling any kind of fighting. Unless he's unconscious and hanging on a fence or something like that, he will not allow you to just stand like this. And you'll be completely open to a lot of different strikes, punches, kicks, whatever. So if you stand like this has nothing to do with fighting. But at the end of your workout, if you really want to work your core and you have done all the correct stuff, of course you can stand like this just to work the core and really put speed and force into it. But be prepared that people that will pass you by will make comments and say, what are you doing, this is not boxing, and so on. So, well, I prefer to do that kind of stuff at my own home instead of doing it somewhere where people will start commenting. But this is the basic hook, and this is how it's done. Then, the last point I'll stress today, and I'll repeat that in coming videos. You can have 3 pivot points here. One that runs through your front shoulder and down your front foot, like this. Short, not very heavy punch. Quick, but it will not deliver max force. One where you have the rotational line down through your body and to a point between your feet. In good balance, with much more force, and most of your punches should be trained like that. And then one where we rotate on the other shoulder and the rear foot, and we go like this. That's a max punch. But the balance in the max punch is a bit off. When you commit so much that you come in like this, you have a tendency to open your arms and it becomes more like a swing. And you have a tendency to put so much force into the hit that if the other guy actually moves out, you'll come over like this and you'll be open to all sorts of shit. So keep these max punches to a minimum. You'll deliver them when he's already reeling, when he's already hurt, when you see that big opportunity. Put most of your punches in good balance and try to sit down with the punches. A fault many people do is to overcommit, so they put the weight on the front leg when they strike and go. That punch is good, but if the other guy is fast, you will be off balance for a second while you get back again, and you will be the target of multiple kind of punches. So sit down on your punches instead. Keep the balance between your feet and go. There's a difference here, and I can explain it, but you'll have to do it yourself and try out the difference between having equal balance on both sides or having switched the balance to one side. Well, to recapitulate, when delivering the front hook from the basic stance, turn out the heel of your front foot and deliver it straight out here, keeping your center line, the point you rotate or pivot about. For fast hooks, just pivot about your front foot and shoulder, and for max hooks, pivot about your rear shoulder and your rear foot like this, but do this sparingly as you are off balance most of the time. Next video about the hook, I'll bring in a partner. We will talk about using pads, we'll talk about how to apply this in fighting, how to disguise it with other punches so you'll be able to deliver it without your opponent seeing what you're actually doing. So this was the basic, and you can practice on the heavy back doing the basic hook, and in coming videos we will talk about how to combine it with other punches, how to disguise it, and how to apply it when you are moving back and forth. Happy training to you. Keep your hands wrapped really tight so you don't hurt yourself, and take your time to get the technique right. Hit with your knuckles every time If you just go like this, you will break your fingers at some point. So happy training. This can be a really good workout. Just keep at it. Hi.